Now what I want you to start thinking about is the angle at which you're picking the strings. What people learn really early on is if they turn the pick sideways and then they pick the string, it's actually easier to go through the string and make it faster, which is true because there's less friction. The problem with that is that you just get this kind of swishing sound because there's no percussion, right? When the string is sitting here and the pick goes flat on that string, and it hits it like this, it causes it to vibrate. If you're turning the pick sideways, you're just slicing through that string. Sure, it makes you faster, but it doesn't sound very good. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to take this guitar pick, put it on the third string. Now I'm going to turn it sideways, not all the way, but sideways. Now it's easier for me to get through the string, there's no doubt, because my guitar is angled this direction, and my pick is angled this direction. And I'm just kind of going at it, right? What I want you to think about is not only the speed at which you're trying to pick, but the percussive effect that you're going to get when you do pick, because it makes everything much cleaner when you learn how to do it more accurately. So what I want you to think about is, let's go do that again, only this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the pick straight. So the only thing, my pick is absolutely straight. The only thing that's turned is the neck is up a little bit. So it is at an angle a little bit, but I'm not overcompensating by turning the pick as well. My pick is absolutely straight. So when I pick this string, I can grab that string and pick it really aggressively if I want to. You see, so I can get bites on, pinch harmonics, all that kind of stuff. I can get all those sounds by having my pick straighter, okay? Now, as I move into speed picking, I'm not going to change the angle of my pick. And you can see as I'm doing that, again, it might be hard to hear, but I'm getting much more percussion element off of the picking of that string than I would if I was turning the pick, okay? So now it comes to the next part. We've got the right pick. We've got the proper angle that we're trying to pick at. Now we have to start thinking about the speed at which we're picking. Well, let's talk about some obvious things. The wider I pick, the longer it takes me to pick that string, right? If I'm picking from all the way up here and I go through the string and then all the way back up, it's going to take forever to pick that string. So I want to literally pick that string from the top to the bottom as small as humanly possible. So I'm just barely leaving that string, right? As soon as I pick through, I stop and go back up again. I'm not making big wide motions like this, okay? I'm staying really small. The next thing to think about is the way that you're picking. Are you picking from your bicep, from your forearm, from your wrist, or from your fingers? And this all makes a really big difference, okay? Now, the bicep is kind of obvious. Usually a bicep, what I think of as a bicep strum, is these big open kind of chordal things when you play them. That kind of thing. Well, we certainly wouldn't want to speed pick like that because there's too much range of motion, right? So now all of a sudden, we start moving more from the elbow, right? So now the elbow is going to do some stuff. So we kind of lock in and we move the elbow back and forth like this, okay? And for some people, that's very, very effective to lock the elbow and then just move. You're just kind of moving back and forth like this, right? You're just kind of playing like that. And again, it's up to you to decide what's best for you. I just want you to be aware of them so you can explore. I tend to find that when I lock the arm here and I move from the elbow, the problem is that it gets very tense and I get tired after a while, right? So this speed picking thing, really ideally, you want it to be relaxed because you want to be able to do it as long as you need to as you're playing, right? So when you're going, whatever it is. Whatever it is that you're going to play, you want it to be relatively relaxed so it comes off nice and smooth as you're playing. So the next situation you've got, the next option you've got is to move from the wrist, right? So now what you would do is you'd start moving this direction across that string. And then the last option is to actually move from the fingers like this, which isn't very comfortable for me at all, but I've seen players do it and they're very, very good at it. So for me, my two main options would be to move from the wrist or to move from the elbow. Those are the two. And I kind of go back and forth between the two depending on how fast I'm going. Because again, for me, there's a difference between playing fast and then shredding, so to speak. Shredding is actually easier for most people because once you get the idea of how to move back and forth, I want to show you this. If you can see you can obviously see my hand right there. But if I think of moving as almost like shaking off water like this, so instead of it being like, I'm pounding a nail like this, what I'm actually doing is kind of just shaking off water like this. That's more of the motion that I tend to make when I'm picking. It's kind of back and forth like that, just kind of like this. Okay? Then I can control my range of motion, right? Like this. So instead of doing this, I'm turning this way. Now again, you have to explore these things. So right now, a metronome is not what you need. What you need to do is just sit down and get comfortable with, am I using the right pick, right? Am I coming across at the right angle? And then as I start playing, the goal isn't to try and, over accentuate all of your muscles when you do this. It's actually to go what I call going inward, which is where you start relaxing. So as you do this, and you start trying to achieve faster picking speeds, you're actually trying to learn how to relax from your neck and your shoulder and your bicep and everything. You start relaxing. So even though a lot of times we hear a lot of this in metal, the truth is to be able to do a lot of this for a long period of time, you have got to learn how to relax, not just, like this, because you're gonna blow a blood vessel or something. So you got to relax. So the trick here is as you're doing this, find which range of motion feels most comfortable to you, reassess how you're picking that string, and then as you go for your attack on that string, again, the pick is relatively straight now, okay? We don't want to make big distances. We want to make smaller distances across that string. And before you ever worry about your left hand, the trick with all of this is becoming intuitive. Okay, and what I mean by that is you have to get to know yourself. If you're stressing your neck, or your back is all stressed, or your arm is all stressed, or you're moving a lot, or whatever it might be, before you can fix anything, you have to be aware of those things and start going, oh yeah, boy, I really am tensing up, or boy, I really am using the wrong pick. I've been using that pick for 30 years, but for this particular thing, it's really not going to work very well. Whatever it might be. So don't start bringing in the left hand to confuse everything even more. Become aware of what you're doing here and how comfortable this is. Okay? So as I keep going, I'm teaching myself to relax. And I'm finding that ideal range of motion. Right there now, I'm using a little bit more of the wrist. Okay? And so at this point, again, metronome is completely unnecessary. I'm just becoming more aware of myself and my ability to be able to do what I'm doing. Bringing my left hand in, as I just said, is just going to make things more confusing because now our brain's got to start thinking about, scales or shapes or whatever it is we're doing. And not only that, but you have to start shifting through strings, which makes things even harder. And we're going to get to that. But right now, you focus on those. So focus on number one, proper pick. Number two, proper holding of the pick and angle, right? Just to make sure you understand that when I'm playing, which I showed you earlier when I was holding the pick, but I'm just using 2 fingers. I don't have all 5 fingers or something on that pick trying to do all this work. I want to relax. These fingers got to stay nice and smooth and relaxed as I'm playing. Okay, I might use them for hybrid picking or for changing my volume or my toggle switch or whatever, but they need to stay relaxed. You don't have to do this and all this kind of craziness. Just stay relaxed as you pick. And think about your range of motion. Think about relaxing as you play. But get percussive with that string. Pick the string. Don't just turn the pick. You might as well be using a nickel or a dime or something to get that kind of effect. And again, we could say, well, there are people that use, change to play. Of course there is. I'm just telling you that when it comes to speed picking, it's not really going to work. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Listen, if you're ready to take your guitar playing to the next level, then I'd like to invite you to go to guitarzoom.com and sign up for a VIP membership, which gives you first access to my premium lessons each month, which are customized for your specific goals and skill level. Now, it's an awesome community of guitar players that love to play, have fun, and support each other's goals, and we'd love to have you join us. So go to guitarzoom.com and sign up for VIP today.